Hey guys, welcome to Gallup Gardens. Zone 7B, January, and we're here to help you grow great food on a budget, and even cook great food on a budget. Like I said, it's January. We have another Arctic front coming through. It's going to kill everything that hasn't been killed except for the garlic. And it's too late to wrap because we didn't wrap last time, so everything is melted. So what do we do today? We smoke ribs, right? So a little bit of a rib smoking tutorial. Also, we're going to blanket everything in a nice thick layer of compost and then a layer of wood chips. Kind of put everything to bed. Winter is a cold, sterilizing, purifying sleep. I forget his name. Last name was Campbell. He wrote a book called Lilith, which inspired Tolkien. And it talks about that. It really goes into that. So while we're spending this time in the shortest of days in the cold, and we're reflecting on the things we've done in the past, and we're looking for the spring and the harvest to come, we're going to put everything to bed, let it take the long cold sleep, and wake up again. So come with us. What is key to keeping the rust out of your smoker, besides oiling it frequently on the outside, is cleaning out your ash pit a couple of days after it's cooled down. What happens is that ash draws moisture, and then that moisture allows for rust. So if you've ever cleaned out an old ash pit, you'll notice it's caked and it's hard, and it's because the moisture is getting in there and it's kind of cementing together a little bit. Also, there's lye in ash. That's why back in the day they used to put ash into their outhouses. You know, after they would go to the bathroom, they would sprinkle ash over it, and that would eat up the waste and keep the smell down. And so lye is corrosive. So you want to get that corrosive ash out of your pit. Pot ash is not only a good source of lye and alkaloid for your soil, but biochar and potassium. That's what the K is for in potash. It's actually like an old alchemical symbol and name for just straight up ash. So it's good for your dirt. We're going to add this before we add our top layer of compost today, and then our wood chip layer. We have our firebox loaded. Let's get a little fire going. I don't know if you've noticed, but we do not have the fire grate in. I don't think the fire grate's even necessary, but we're leaving it out because we want the fire to be as far back close to the door as possible and as low as possible. We're looking for a fire of about 225 for 4 hours and a nice clean smoke. So that's the reason for taking the grate out, so we can build a nice little fire right there close to the door. Get this guy going real quick. Oh, take the baby monitor off the top so we don't cook it. That'd be bad. Probably the axe handle too. Probably don't want to melt that either. Yeah. All right. Looking good. Real quick, let's get into the preparation of the ribs and the seasoning. Bear with me, baby Sterling's sick, so there's a lot of cutaway and holding him and crying and things like that. So I'm using a kitchen pepper that I made. This comes from a recipe from 1776, 1755, somewhere in there. And older. It's just the oldest written down form. It's been modified just a little bit. Let's see if I can get you in there. Essentially, it's 6 parts salt. It is 1 part cayenne pepper, 1 part black pepper, 1 part garlic, which I added along with the cayenne. That was not in the original recipe. 1 part nutmeg, 1 part clove, and 1 part ginger. So it has almost like a Christmassy feel or flavor to it, which makes me think about, you know, we sing songs and we sing Christmas songs and write about what authentic Christmas is or whatever. So a lot of people get on the back end of this rib here and they lift up the membrane and they cut it out and they rip it, and it's a big old mess. It's so much easier if you just score it. So that's what we're going to do. You also want to trim off this excess fat. So not a lot of work, just quick and easy, down and dirty. Okay guys, let's put our spices on. We've already scored the back. We're going to leave this fat here, even though when you put rub on the fat, it doesn't really penetrate into the meat, but we're lightly spicing this anyway because it's pork, and pork has more of a delicate flavor. Really tends to absorb those spices. We don't want to taste the spice so much as we want the flavor of the meat to come through and the flavor of the smoke. You can see right here where I scored it. Just, you know, just whack, 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 whack. Nothing major, nothing crazy, nothing too hard or complicated. Put a little more rub on. There we go. Okay. I've been cooking with this rub for a while now with the smoker, and I don't know if it lends itself better to beef or pork. Both have been really good, and both have turned out not so good depending on what I'm smoking. So, but anyway, we'll put that on there and let it set in the fridge. And the idea is let the rub sit, and the salts will penetrate into the meat, and they'll bring that spice in there with it. What I'm trying to do here is get a nice hot fire going. Some good smoke coming out. Only way to do that is to just really feed it good. It's not enough to have the firebox hot, but you want the chamber hot and the pipe hot, so it's all flowing nice and clear. Pro tip, if you stack your wood up here, it keeps it drier, makes it burn better and cleaner. And that's what that rack's for. It's actually not for meat, it's to keep your wood. That's a solid piece. Ugh. There we go. Put this guy on too while we're burning dirty. We'll burn that bark. That's another solid chunk right there. Yeah. People think you want low and slow, you want big, fat, wet logs when you're smoking, but you don't. You want little sticks. Little sticks, clean fire, clear smoke. Oh, missed. So what we'll do is we'll let this burn for a while. Oh, this is our finished product. This is a year. Look at all the humus and the good stuff in there. It's nice and cool. Feels like it's 50 degrees. Good stuff. Well broken down. Beautiful stuff. This is what we're going to lay on top of the asparagus first. I think we started this compost, about a year ago when I first started gathering the leaves. It's nice to see it all come full circle. Yeah. Alright guys, check it out. Got some ribs going. We also put the lard in with the potatoes. Ooh, that's hot. And the peppers and the onions. And the idea is that that's going to cook that, slow cook that over 4 hours. And then we're going to take that lard out and we're going to use that lard to wrap up these ribs. You see this right here, this moisture coming out? That's the salt in the rub pulling out the water. But also there's a fat cap on top, a little bit of fat, and that's rendering down too. So that's giving that, I wouldn't say illusion, but the appearance of more moisture or more water. We also added some water in the water tray there to keep that going nice. And we're keeping this right about 200 to 225 degrees. Low and slow. Well, about 1 to 2 hours in, maybe even 3. We're sitting right at that, 225 to 250 mark, right in there, below 250. Let's see if I can do this with one hand while holding a baby. All right. So we got the lard getting smoked with the potatoes and the carrots and the onions, and we've got the ribs going. They're looking really nice. So the idea, we got a biker gang going by. There they go. So the idea is that we keep this nice and moist. We keep this low and slow. And then, right there, we'll give it a little spray. This is half apple cider vinegar, half water. We'll give that a spray. So anyway, about 4 hours, low and slow, looking real good. And then we'll turn that heat up and we'll get that good bone pullback. We'll get that fat and that collagen to really break down and those proteins to break down, and that'll really pull back on that bone. We'll get that real tender rib that we're looking for. So it's been 4.5 hours, 5 hours, something like that. We're going to bring that temperature up to about 375 degrees, between 275 and 300. We'll get that collagen to break down and the proteins to break down, get that bone pulled back. Also got the lard smoking in here and cooking the vegetables at the same time. You can see that fat rendering down. Look at that, that's some good stuff. And I should have trimmed this a little bit, but it's going to be just fine. So we'll do this for about an hour, and we'll let it rest, and we'll be ready for dinner. So we're about 30 minutes before we wrap, and what we did was we brought the veggies in, tasted them, they're pretty good. We have rendered the fat down, and we also added pork lard and smoked that. So we let that smoke and cook the vegetables. And we've strained that off, and this is what we have here. Some really good smoked lard. So what we're going to do now is lay out the butcher paper. We're going to let this congeal a little bit, cool off a little bit, and we're going to smear it around and re-wrap the ribs, and then we're going to put them back in for about 30 minutes right at 275 to 300 degrees. And that's going to make them nice and tender, and it's just going to really saturate those ribs. It's going to be good stuff. So you see that pull back there, and then you see where the fat rendered, that fat cap rendered and pulled back to? That is exactly what we're going for. So we're going to use our smoked lard here, and we're going to wrap it. We're going to throw it back on for 30 minutes, and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, this may be the prettiest thing I've ever made. And I'm an artist for my side hustle. So, it smells amazing, looks amazing, got perfect pull back there, very, very tender. So, let's eat it. Look, there it is. Look at that smoke ring. This is our judge right here, Miss Madison.
I'm not the judge.
Maybe Sterling. What do you think? Is it okay? It's too salty?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Super. We'll just look.
It should be coming right off the bone.
Yeah, but look how juicy it is.
Oh, he's not impressed.
It's because he dropped his fork.
Is that better, buddy? All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. There we go. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. This is Dad. Good. It passes the Sterling test. That's good. So like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for staying with us.